today we're going to be talking about something called composition of functions. So let's talk about what the word composition means first. Okay, so where have you heard the word composition? Composition notebooks. Okay, what else? A numerous of things. Okay, so composite, right? How many of you play softball or baseball? Okay, what's a composite bat? It's a mixture of multiple elements come together to make the bat, right? So composition means I'm taking different, in our case, functions, and I'm putting them together. It's a composition of functions. Okay, so let's move to the next page. Composition of functions, or f of g of x, can also be defined by this basic rule. F of g of x is equal to f of g of x. I know that sounds confusing. I'm going to blow this up. We can look at it. Okay, that notation, that's actually an open circle in there. Okay, f of g of x. That's notation. Okay. Another way to write this is f of g of x. Have we caught on to how I'm saying it? Let's say it together. F of g of x. Okay. You'll see it written both ways, so you need to be able to recognize it both ways. So basically what this means is I'm going to take f of x and I'm going to take g of x and I'm going to find the composition of the two functions together. Now the way it's written is important. Notice we said f first and then g, right? So would this, do you think, be the same thing? No, why? How would I, that's supposed to be an x, isn't it? I got excited. Okay, so how would you read this? G of f of x. So this actually makes a huge difference as to how we're going to be doing this composition, okay? With the first one, basically what we're saying is we're taking g of x and we're going to put it into f of x. So what do you think we're saying with the second one? Good, you're taking f of x and we'll put it into g of x. So I have a nice way to remember this. Are you ready? Okay, you're going to like this. All right, maybe you won't like it as much as I do, but I really like it. Okay, that's an F. Agreed? Okay. That's a G. And that's a geniuses. Okay, so f of g of x, right? This isn't just an F. It's a monster. Okay? With pretty eyelashes. Here's its nose, its profile. You only see one nostril. Okay, so make fun of me. This is how you'll remember it. That's its tummy. It's pregnant. It's pregnant with. Yeah, this is a monster, and essentially it ate the g of x. Okay, so f. Yes, it's a very strange creature. It eats its young. All right, so f of x ate g of x. Okay, so where did g of x go? It went inside of f of x, okay? G is going into f. So that's this. Now, what would be the monster if it was written the other way? The g. And the g would be eating the f. Okay, so it's just another way to think about it and how we're going to kind of use these and put them together. So composition, essentially, is fancy substitution. You all know how to substitute? Okay, so this isn't going to be a problem. All right, so let's take a look at what this actually does. I bet you'll never forget it, huh? Yes, I did it all by myself. I'm genius, aren't I? I know. I don't know. I dream weird things in my head sometimes, mathematical things, and we came up with the function monster. Okay, ready? All right. It's proof that I need to get a life. Okay, so we have f of x equals 2x plus 3, and we have g of x equals x squared minus 1. I want to find f of g of x. Okay? I want to find f of g of x. So I want you guys to tell me what is eating what. F is eating g. So my g of x, or x squared minus 1, is going to go into my f of x, or 2x plus 3. Where do you think it's going to go in? What's the stomach? for the x's, okay? If you think about this, it's f of g of x. Normally, we're used to seeing f of x, right? What's in place of the x? My g of x, okay? So we're taking g of x, x squared minus 1, and we're putting it in where? For the x and f of x. Okay, so here we go. You ready? You think so? Here we've got f of g of x. That's what we want to find. Agreed? All right, so we've got our f of x, which is 2x plus 3. So we've got 2. And instead of writing x, I'm putting x squared minus 1. And then I have to add 3. So all I did was I took g of x and I put it in for x. Simply substitution. Okay? Now, am I going to leave it like that? No, I'm going to do what? I'm going to distribute. Very good. Okay, what do I get? Good. Good. Last step. Good. And there's your composition. Notice what I wrote every single time. Do you need to write f of g of x every single time? Will I take points off if you don't? Okay. So please make sure you bring that down with you every time. So all it is substitution, right? So you have to figure out what function is going into what. You're moving right to left. So whatever one's all the way to the right is going to go into the one that's on the left. Okay? So I have a question. Do you think, put a question mark here, f of g of x is the same thing as g of f of x? You don't think so? We're going to find out. Okay? You're probably right, but we're still going to find out. All right. So I was feeling nice, and I wrote out the steps for you on the next page. Okay? We're going to skip that and go on to this one. Okay. So I've got the same two functions, f of x and g of x, but this time I want to find g of f of x. Okay, so I want to find g of f of x this time around. So let's find out. What's going into what? What's going into what? Yeah, f is going into g. We're moving right to left, right? F is going into g. So here's your g of f of x. F is going into g. F is going into g. Tell me what to write. Two x plus 3, good. Squared minus 1. So what did I change? Just that x, right? So I took f and I put it into g. What do I have to do here? I got a FOIL. All right, I got to FOIL it out. So I want you to go ahead and finish this up. Okay, so when you FOILed it out, you got, good. How many of you got that? Anybody lose that minus 1? Yeah, a couple of you. Okay. So last step, combine my like terms. We get 4x squared plus 6x plus 8. So is f of g of x the same thing as g of f of x? No, absolutely not. Nope. Okay. The only time you would go and factor is if you think you could cancel something, which you have no shot at doing here. So, okay, good. What do you think? It's not too bad. No? No. Yes. I'm sorry. Did I write 6? I didn't mean to. I meant to write 12. No, it's not. We have 2x squared plus 6x plus 6x plus 9. My apologies. Am I forgiven? Oh, good. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay. Still 4x. Yes, jeez Louise. Having a moment. Okay, going back. There's your steps for you on the next page. Look, I did it right here. And we're going to skip that page, and we're going to go here. Okay, so given f of x equals x minus 4 and g of x equals x squared plus 1, I want you to find g of f of x. So what's going into what? F is going into g. Good. You're always working right to left. Okay, f is going into g. So let's see if you guys can do this on your own. All right, f is going into g. So here's f. It's got to go into g. Here it is. There's the x, right? So g of f of x, you're going to have x minus 4 plus 1. How many of you got that? Okay. All right, so then we had to FOIL that out. And you should get x squared minus 8x plus 16 plus 1. Agreed? G of f of x equals x squared minus 8x plus 17. How many of you got it right? Pardon me. I'm sorry. Okay. Good. Nice job. Feeling a little bit more comfortable? Let's try another. This is the same thing, isn't it? I don't know why I have it on 2 pages. Okay, so go ahead and find f of g of x. Okay, so what's going into what, guys? G is going into x. So here's your g of x. It's going in for x and f of x, right? F of g of x. Tell me what to write. Good. X minus 5 quantity squared minus 25. How many of you got that right? Awesome job. Okay. So we need to square that out. X squared minus 10x plus 25. Minus 25. We're getting fast at that foiling. Okay. Last step. And there it is. How many of you got it completely correct? Very nice. Very nice. Yep. No. Okay. So, that's the same thing. Let's get a little bit different, not more difficult, it's just different, okay? Now, all right, so 3 different methods. Let's take a look at all 3. So we've got f of x equals 5x cubed. I have g of x equals square root of 2x, and I want to find f of g of 8. So how is this different? Yeah, I've got an 8 there in the place of what? X. Okay, so we're evaluating a composition now. So there's 3 ways we're going to do it. We're going to look at method 1 first. This is the one that I prefer. I think it's the easiest, but you may think differently. Okay. So I keep telling you guys we're moving right to left, correct? So if I'm moving right to left, what would be the first thing I would want to find? G of what? G of 8. Because what's in for x? 8. So my step 1 is going to find g of 8. How do I find g of 8? Good. Square root of 2 times 8. You're using g of x, and you're plugging in 8 for x. Okay? So g of 8 equals square root of 16, which we know is 4. All right, so what I did is I found g of 8, right? So f of g of 8. Tell me again what I just found. I found g of 8. I found this right here, didn't I? What did I find it to be? 4. So here's what we're going to do. I'm now going to find f of, what was g of 8? 4. Pardon me. So you're taking whatever you found g of 8 to be, your output right here, and you're plugging it in for f. Okay? So f of 4 is what we're going to find. So you take your output from the first one, and you put it as your input. F of 4, 5 times 4 cubed. Is that right? 4 cubed? It's supposed to be squared, isn't it? You're right. Thank you. I knew something didn't look right. Okay. What do I need to do first? Square it. 5 times 16. 80. Okay. So f of g of 8 equals 80. Okay. So again, you're working right to left. We found g of 8 first. We figured out what that was equal to, and we put it in for f. Okay. Method 2. Method 2 is where we're actually going to do the composition. Okay. So we're going to find f of g of x. And then once we have that, we're going to plug in the 8. Okay, so this is kind of what we've just been doing, right? Except one extra step. So what's going into what? G is going into f. So g square root of 2x is going in for f. So 5 times square root of 2x squared. It's the same thing we've been doing. Okay. So have I simplified it yet? Do I really need to, though? For this, we don't. Because what is x? 8. So instead of writing this x, I'm going to put 8. Okay, we're substituting the 8 in for x. So now we can simplify it out. So we get the square root of 16 squared. What's the square root of 16 squared? 16. What's 5 times 16? 80. So did I get the same exact thing? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So both ways will get you to the same place. I prefer this one. I find that there's less mistakes to be made, but whatever one you're more comfortable with, you can do. Method 3. Method 3 is from your calculator. So we're going to learn how to do it on your calculator. Okay, so I want you guys to add a calculator page, please, to your notes. Now, when we're evaluating at a value of x, our calculator will do it for us, okay? So if I have something like f of g of 8, calculator will do it. If I have f of g of x, the calculator will not. Okay, so you have to be able to do this by hand. All right, so you ready? Menu. Actions. Define. So I'm given 2 functions, right? First one is f of, when I say of, you open in parentheses, x equals 5x squared. So I'm defining f of x to be 5x squared. Hit enter. Now anytime you put f of x into a calculator page, it's going to see it as 5x squared. Okay. Menu, actions, define. I have to put in my other function, g of x. And that one is square root of 2x. Enter. Are we okay so far? Okay, so what I wanted was f of g of 8, right? F of g of 8. Enter. What did it give us? 80. So is there ever a reason, ever a reason to get this wrong? No, because the calculator will do it for you. So again, can I put something like this into my calculator? How about this? Okay. As long as you have a value. Yeah. Okay. Ready to try again? We didn't do this one yet, right? All right, so I want you to find f of g of 3, guys. Go ahead and give it a shot. Okay, so f of g of 3, right? We're moving right to left. What are we finding first? G of 3. Moving right to left. G of 3 first. G of x is x squared minus 2, so I'm going to have 3 squared minus 2, or 9 minus 2, which gives me 7. Do a method 1. We're moving right to left, which means we have to find g of 3 first. Okay? What do I do with that 7? Plug it in for f. So f of 7. Negative 2 times 7 plus 7. Negative 14 plus 7 gives me negative 7. F of g of 3 equals negative 7. Again, you're moving right to left, okay? F of g of 3, right to left. What do you have to do first? G of 3. Once you get that, you plug it in for f. If you were to do it method 2, I got to make this go away. If you were to do method 2, again, g is going into f, right? So we're finding f of g of x. So you're going to have negative 2 times x squared minus 2 plus 7. Then from there, we can plug in our 3. Okay? Negative 2, 9 minus 2 in the center gives me 7. Negative 14 plus 7 gives me negative 7. Do we get the same thing? How many of you used define on the calculator? And you got? Okay. All right? Okay, good. Homework tonight is pages 14 and 15. Please make sure you do it, okay? Don't forget your process essays due next Friday. I do not accept late work, so it better be into me on time. Weekly project 5 is due this Friday. Okie dokie?